There is a version of you that only appears when everything is going wrong. When the pressure rises, when the phone keeps ringing, when money becomes tight, when people disappoint you, when plans collapse, when someone attacks your character, and when you have no idea how the situation will end. Most people discover that version of themselves only after the storm has already begun, and sometimes they don't recognize the person they become. Their thoughts become frantic. Their emotions become louder than their judgment. They say things they later regret. They make decisions they would never make when calm. But what if pressure is not the enemy you think it is? What if pressure is actually revealing the exact place where your mind still needs to become stronger? What if the goal is not to eliminate pressure, but to become the kind of person pressure can no longer control? Pressure is unavoidable. You can avoid certain people, change your environment, leave a difficult situation, postpone a decision, or try to build a comfortable life. But you cannot build a life completely free from pressure. There will always be something demanding your attention. Something unexpected will happen. Someone will misunderstand you. A plan will fail. An opportunity will disappear. A relationship will become complicated. Your body will become tired. Your mind will question your direction. And eventually, life will place you in a situation where you cannot control what happens next. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes more than an ancient philosophy. It becomes a way of standing when the world around you becomes unstable. The Stoics understood something that modern life often teaches us to forget. A calm life does not create a calm mind. A trained mind creates calmness, even when life is difficult. There is a profound difference between these two things. Anyone can appear composed when everything is going according to plan. Anyone can feel confident when money is coming in. Relationships are peaceful, the future looks promising, and nobody is challenging them. But that is not where your character is truly tested. Your character is revealed when reality refuses to cooperate with you. Pressure exposes your habits. It exposes whether you have trained your mind or simply depended on favorable circumstances. It exposes whether your confidence is rooted in your character or in external validation. It exposes whether your peace belongs to you or whether you have handed it over to whatever happens around you. Think about how quickly your emotional state can change because of something outside your control. One message can ruin your mood. One person's rejection can make you question your worth. One financial setback can make you believe your future is finished. One criticism can occupy your mind for an entire day. One mistake can convince you that you are a failure. The event may last a few seconds, but your mind can replay it for hours. That is the hidden power of pressure. The event itself may not destroy you. Your interpretation of the event can. The Stoic approach begins with separating what happened from what you believe what happened means. Something can be painful without meaning. Your life is ruined. Something can be disappointing without meaning. Your future is hopeless. Someone can reject you without proving that you are unworthy. You can fail at something without becoming a failure. This distinction is essential because pressure becomes dangerous when you allow one difficult moment to become an identity. You lose money and suddenly you think, I am finished. Someone leaves you and suddenly you think, nobody will ever love me. You make a mistake and suddenly you think, I can never succeed. You experience humiliation and suddenly you think, everyone is against me. Notice what happened. The event was one thing. Your mind turned it into something much larger. The Stoics trained themselves not to surrender that quickly. They understood that the first impression is not always the final truth. Your mind may immediately tell you that something is unbearable, but you do not have to obey the first thought that appears. You can examine it. You can question it. You can decide whether it deserves your belief. This is where mastering pressure begins. You cannot always control the pressure entering your life, but you can train yourself not to become pressure's servant. When pressure arrives, your first responsibility is not to react. It is to regain command of yourself. This does not mean becoming emotionless. Stoicism is not about pretending that nothing hurts. It is not about becoming a cold person who never feels fear, sadness, anger, or disappointment. It is about refusing to let those emotions take the steering wheel. You can feel fear and still act wisely. You can feel anger and still remain disciplined. You can feel sadness and still continue moving. You can feel pressure and still think clearly. That is strength. Real strength is not the absence of emotion. Real strength is the ability to experience emotion without becoming its prisoner. Imagine two people receiving the same devastating news. The first immediately panics. Their mind races through every possible disaster. They imagine the worst outcome, speak impulsively, blame everyone around them, and make decisions from fear. The second person feels the same shock, but instead of allowing the shock to dictate their behavior, they collect themselves. They ask what is actually happening. They determine what can still be controlled. They decide what needs to be done next. The second person is not necessarily less afraid. They are simply better trained. That distinction can change your life. You do not need to wait until pressure arrives to become strong under pressure. You build that strength during ordinary days. Every time you resist an unnecessary reaction, you strengthen your ability to remain composed. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, you strengthen your mind. Every time you refuse to allow someone else's behavior to determine your emotional state, you become harder to break. Your daily choices are preparing you for the moments you cannot predict. This is why the small battles matter. When you are tempted to send an angry message but choose restraint, you are training. When you want to quit because something is uncomfortable but you continue, you are training. When someone provokes you and you refuse to give them the reaction they wanted, you are training. When you wake up without feeling motivated but still do what matters, you are training. When you stop obsessing over what people think of you and return your attention to what you can actually control, you are training. Pressure mastery is built long before the crisis, and one of the greatest mistakes people make is believing they must solve everything immediately. When pressure rises, the mind wants certainty, it wants answers, it wants guarantees, it wants to know exactly how everything will end, but life rarely gives you that luxury. Sometimes you will have to move forward without knowing the outcome. Sometimes you will have to make a decision without knowing whether it will work. Sometimes you will have to endure a difficult season without knowing when it will end. This is where your relationship with uncertainty becomes important. A weak mind demands certainty before it moves. A disciplined mind learns to move responsibly despite uncertainty. You do not need to know how the entire story ends. You need to know what the next right action is. That is one of the most powerful ways to reduce pressure. Instead of asking, "How am I going to fix my entire life?" ask, "What can I do today?" Instead of asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" ask, "If something goes wrong, how will I respond?" Instead of asking, "How do I guarantee success?" ask, "What can I control right now?" These questions move your attention away from imaginary futures and back toward the present moment. Pressure grows when your mind tries to live in 10 different futures at once. You imagine losing what you have. You imagine being rejected. You imagine failing. You imagine being embarrassed. You imagine everything collapsing. And while none of those things may have happened, your body reacts as though they have. You are suffering from events that exist only in your imagination. The Stoics repeatedly return their attention to reality, not because the future does not matter, but because the present is where action is possible. You cannot control tomorrow from tomorrow. You can only influence it through what you do today. That means your greatest weapon against pressure is not positive thinking. It is disciplined attention. Bring your mind back. Bring it back from the imaginary conversation. Bring it back from the insult you received yesterday. Bring it back from the disaster you fear might happen next month. Bring it back from the opinion of someone who does not control your future. Bring it back to what is real. What is happening right now? What is within your control? What action is required? What kind of person do you want to be while dealing with this? Those questions can turn chaos into direction. And there is something else you must understand. Pressure becomes much easier to handle when you stop demanding that life be fair before you allow yourself to be strong. Life will sometimes be unfair. Good people will sometimes suffer. Hardworking people will sometimes lose. People who deserve appreciation will sometimes be ignored. People who behave badly will sometimes appear to succeed. If your peace depends on life always rewarding you fairly, your peace will constantly be at risk. The Stoic does not need the world to behave perfectly before choosing to behave with excellence. You can be treated unfairly and still act with dignity. You can be overlooked and still continue improving. You can lose an opportunity and still prepare for the next one. You can be misunderstood and still refuse to become bitter. This is the point where pressure begins to transform you. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "Who can I become through this?" That question changes everything, because sometimes the situation cannot be changed immediately, but you can change the person standing inside the situation. Pressure can make you more patient. It can make you more disciplined. It can expose your weaknesses. It can teach you to stop depending on approval. It can reveal who truly deserves access to your energy. It can force you to distinguish between what matters and what merely makes noise. The pressure itself may not be something you wanted, but what you build inside it can become something you never want to lose. And this is why you must stop seeing every difficult season as evidence that your life is falling apart. Sometimes the pressure is showing you where you have been relying on things that were never stable. Sometimes losing something exposes how deeply you depended on it. Sometimes rejection exposes how much of your identity was built around being accepted. Sometimes failure exposes a weakness that success allowed you to ignore. Sometimes discomfort is not destroying your foundation. Sometimes it is revealing that you need a stronger one. The goal is not to become someone who never experiences pressure. The goal is to become someone who can stand inside pressure without losing himself. Because when you master your response, pressure loses part of its power. You stop believing that discomfort automatically means danger. You begin developing a quiet confidence that says, "Whatever happens, I will meet it with a clear mind." That is the kind of confidence nobody can give you and nobody can take away. And once you begin building that strength, the next transformation becomes even deeper. You learn how to use pressure itself as fuel rather than allowing it to become a weight that crushes you. Pressure can become fuel when you stop treating every difficult moment as something that must be escaped. There are seasons when pressure will force you to discover abilities you never knew you possessed. You may discover that you are more patient than you thought, more disciplined, more resilient, more capable of enduring uncertainty, more capable of standing alone, more capable of making decisions without applause. The person you become under pressure can be stronger than the person you were when life was comfortable. This is why the Stoic does not waste every difficult moment asking how to make it disappear. Sometimes the better question is what the moment is demanding from you. Perhaps it is demanding courage. Perhaps it is demanding patience. Perhaps it is demanding discipline. Perhaps it is demanding that you finally let go of something you have been desperately trying to control. Pressure often reveals where your attention has been misplaced. You may discover that you have been spending enormous amounts of energy trying to control another person's opinion, another person's behavior, another person's feelings, or an outcome that was never completely yours to command. And the more you try to control what does not belong to you, the more powerless you feel. This is one of the central insights of Stoicism. Your energy must have boundaries. There are things that belong to you. Your judgments belong to you. Your choices belong to you. Your actions belong to you. Your effort belongs to you. Your character belongs to you. But another person's opinion does not belong to you. Their reaction does not belong to you. Their decision does not belong to you. The future does not completely belong to you. The outcome of every attempt does not belong to you. When you understand this deeply, pressure begins to lose its ability to scatter your mind. You stop trying to carry the entire world on your shoulders. You carry what is yours, and you release what is not. This does not mean becoming careless. It means becoming precise about where your energy goes. Imagine spending an entire day worrying about whether someone respects you. You replay conversations. You analyze their tone. You wonder what they meant. You imagine what they might say about you. You become angry over possibilities that may never happen. What have you actually accomplished? Nothing. You have spent your mental energy attempting to control a mind that is not yours. Now imagine taking that same energy and putting it into your work, your health, your discipline, your family, your learning, your goals, or your character. The situation outside you may remain exactly the same, but your life begins moving forward. That is mastery. Pressure becomes unbearable when your attention is divided between what you can influence and what you cannot. Bring it back. Your attention is precious. Do not give it away to every person who knows how to provoke you. Do not give it away to every headline. Do not give it away to every criticism. Do not give it away to every imagined future. Do not give it away to people who benefit from seeing you emotionally unstable. Protect your mind, because your mind is where your decisions are born. If your mind is constantly chaotic, your actions will eventually reflect that chaos. But when your mind becomes disciplined, your actions become more deliberate. And deliberate action is one of the greatest forms of power. There will be moments when people intentionally try to disturb your peace. They may provoke you because they know what makes you angry. They may criticize you because they know you care about being respected. They may withdraw attention because they know you crave approval. They may create unnecessary conflict because they know you will react. The instinct is to fight back immediately, but the Stoic asks a different question. Why should another person's behavior determine the quality of my character? If someone behaves badly and you become equally reckless, they have successfully transferred their disorder into you. They did not merely insult you, they changed you. They took control of your behavior without touching you. That is why emotional discipline matters. Sometimes the strongest response is not a sharper response. Sometimes it is no unnecessary response at all. Silence can be discipline. Distance can be discipline. Walking away can be discipline. Refusing to explain yourself endlessly can be discipline. Not every accusation deserves a defense. Not every argument deserves your participation. Not every person deserves access to your emotional energy. This does not mean you should tolerate abuse or injustice. It means you should learn the difference between responding with wisdom and reacting because your ego has been challenged. The ego wants to prove. The disciplined mind wants to resolve. The ego wants the last word. Wisdom wants the right outcome. The ego wants everyone to understand you. Wisdom understands that some people will misunderstand you, regardless of how perfectly you explain yourself. Once you understand this, pressure becomes lighter. You no longer need to win every argument. You no longer need to correct every opinion. You no longer need to prove your worth to people who have already decided what they want to believe. Your peace becomes more important than your performance. And that peace does not mean weakness. It means you have stopped allowing external noise to determine your internal state. There is another form of pressure that destroys people quietly. The pressure to become successful quickly. Modern life constantly tells you that you are behind. Someone younger is making more money. Someone else is traveling more. Someone else has a better relationship. Someone else has built a bigger business. Someone else has thousands of subscribers. Someone else seems to have everything you want. And suddenly, you feel like your own progress is worthless. Comparison creates pressure that has no productive destination. You begin rushing. You make poor decisions. You abandon good plans because they are not producing immediate results. You start believing that slow progress is failure, but growth is not a race against another person's timeline. A tree does not become strong because it is impatient. It becomes strong because it continues growing. Your responsibility is not to become someone else. Your responsibility is to become more capable than the person you were yesterday. That is enough. There will be seasons when progress is visible. There will be seasons when progress is happening beneath the surface. There will be days when you feel powerful. There will be days when you feel exhausted. There will be moments when everything seems to be working. There will be moments when nothing seems to make sense. Do not judge your entire journey from one difficult chapter. Pressure can distort your perception. A bad week can make you believe your entire life is bad. A failed attempt can make you believe you are incapable. A rejection can make you believe nobody will ever choose you. A slow season can make you believe you are going nowhere. Do not make permanent conclusions from temporary conditions. This is one of the most important disciplines you can develop. When you are under pressure, reduce the size of the question. Do not ask, "Is my whole life going to work out?" Ask, "What needs my attention today?" Do not ask, "Will I ever succeed?" Ask, "What can I improve today?" Do not ask, "Will everything be okay?" Ask, "How can I meet this moment with courage and intelligence?" The mind becomes calmer when the problem becomes specific. You cannot solve your entire future tonight, but you can solve today's responsibility. You can make the call. You can complete the work. You can apologize. You can study. You can exercise. You can rest. You can make the decision. You can refuse the temptation. You can begin again. Sometimes beginning again is the most stoic thing you can do. You failed yesterday. Fine. Learn. You lost your temper. Learn. You made a poor decision. Learn. You trusted the wrong person. Learn. You wasted time. Learn. But do not turn your mistake into a permanent identity. The past should educate you, not imprison you. A person who refuses to learn from failure will keep suffering from the same lesson. A person who learns can turn even a painful experience into an investment in wisdom. This is how pressure becomes useful. It gives you information. It shows you where you are weak. It shows you where you are dependent. It shows you where your habits are failing. It shows you where your expectations are unrealistic. It shows you what you still need to learn. And if you are willing to listen, pressure becomes a teacher, not a comfortable teacher, not a gentle teacher, but sometimes a necessary one. The strongest people are not those who have never been broken-hearted, disappointed, embarrassed, rejected, or afraid. They are people who refuse to remain permanently defined by those experiences. They rebuilt, they learned, they became wiser, they became more selective, they became more disciplined, they became less desperate for approval, they became harder to manipulate because they understood themselves better. That is what pressure can do when you meet it correctly. It can remove illusions. It can show you what really matters. It can strip away dependence on things you thought you could not live without. And eventually, you may look back at a difficult season and realize that the person you became during that period was worth more than the comfort you lost. But there is one more thing you must master if you want pressure to stop controlling you. You must learn to regulate the pace of your mind. When pressure rises, everything feels urgent. Your thoughts speed up. You want immediate answers. You want immediate relief. You want immediate certainty. But urgency and importance are not the same thing. Not everything that feels urgent deserves an immediate reaction. Sometimes you need to slow down enough to think. A calm mind sees options that a panicked mind cannot see. A calm mind notices details. A calm mind considers consequences. A calm mind can distinguish between a real emergency and an emotional emergency. This is why slowing down under pressure is not laziness. It is strategy. When everyone around you is reacting emotionally, the person who remains clear-headed gains an enormous advantage. The calm person can see. The calm person can decide. The calm person can adapt. The calm person does not waste energy fighting reality. Instead, they ask what reality requires. That is the essence of Stoic resilience. You do not have to like the situation. You do not have to pretend that it is easy. You do not have to call pain beautiful. You simply accept that it is here, and then you decide how you will meet it. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is seeing reality clearly enough to act intelligently. If it is raining, complaining about the rain does not make the ground dry. If someone has already betrayed you, denying what happened does not restore trust. If an opportunity has disappeared, wishing it had remained does not bring it back. If the past cannot be changed, punishing yourself endlessly does not rewrite it. Acceptance allows you to stop fighting what has already happened and start working with what remains. And something powerful happens when you stop fighting reality. Your energy returns. You can finally use it to build, to repair, to adapt, to move, to grow. This is how you become difficult to break, not by becoming invulnerable. You will still hurt. You will still have difficult days. You will still experience disappointment, but your center becomes stronger. You bend without losing your identity. You adapt without abandoning your values. You experience pressure without becoming pressure. That is the difference between being fragile and being resilient. Fragility says, if life does not go my way, I cannot function. Resilience says, I may not like what happened, but I can still choose what I do next. That sentence contains enormous power. What do I do next? Not what should have happened. Not what someone else should have done. Not why life is unfair. What do I do next? That question puts your hands back on the steering wheel. And perhaps that is what you have been missing. You have been waiting for life to become easier before allowing yourself to become stronger. Reverse that. Become stronger, and difficult situations become easier to carry. Build discipline before you need it. Build emotional control before someone provokes you. Build patience before life tests it. Build self-respect before rejection arrives. Build inner stability before circumstances become unstable. Do not wait for the storm to begin before learning how to stand. Train now. Every ordinary day is preparation. Every inconvenience is an opportunity to practice patience. Every temptation is an opportunity to practice discipline. Every disagreement is an opportunity to practice emotional control. Every setback is an opportunity to practice resilience. Every uncertain moment is an opportunity to practice trust in your ability to respond. You are not trying to create a life where nothing goes wrong. You are creating a mind that knows what to do when something does. And once you reach that point, pressure changes its meaning. It is no longer simply something you fear. It becomes evidence that you are being called to rise. The person who masters pressure does not walk through life expecting everything to be easy. They walk expecting themselves to remain steady. They know that storms will come. They know that people will change. They know that plans will fail. They know that success can disappear. They know that loss is part of existence. But they also know something deeper. They know that their response remains theirs. And as long as they can choose their response, they are never completely powerless. So when the next difficult moment arrives, do not immediately ask how to escape it. Ask what it is asking you to become. When your mind begins racing, return to what is real. When fear predicts disaster, return to what you can control. When someone provokes you, protect your character. When failure arrives, extract the lesson. When uncertainty appears, focus on the next right action. When life becomes heavy, carry only what belongs to you. And when pressure rises, remember that you do not need to defeat the entire storm. You only need to remain standing long enough to make the next wise decision. That is how resilience is built. Not in one dramatic moment, but through thousands of small decisions to remain disciplined when it would be easier to react. Eventually, you begin to notice something. The situations that once terrified you no longer have the same power. The criticism that once consumed you becomes background noise. The rejection that once destroyed your confidence becomes information. The uncertainty that once paralyzed you becomes something you can navigate. The pressure that once made you panic becomes a test you know how to meet. You have not eliminated difficulty. You have changed your relationship with it. And that is the deeper meaning of mastering pressure. You are not trying to become a person whom nothing ever hurts. You are becoming a person who knows how to hurt without losing direction. You are becoming a person who can lose something without losing yourself. You are becoming a person who can face uncertainty without surrendering your judgment. You are becoming a person who can experience fear without allowing fear to make every decision. You are becoming a person who can stand in the middle of chaos and still remember who you are. That is strength. That is self-mastery. That is the Stoic path. So do not panic when pressure arrives. Meet it. Study it. Use it. Let it expose what needs strengthening. Let it teach you patience. Let it sharpen your discipline. Let it deepen your character. Let it remind you that peace is not something the world gives you. Peace is something you practice. And when you practice it enough, you become the kind of person who cannot be easily broken by circumstances, because your foundation is no longer built on circumstances. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to the Stoic path and continue walking this path with us.